Successful investment is a goal for anyone who intends to invest in anything, whether he invests in the stock market, real estate, gold, or a small project with his friends. But how to reach successful investment and how to attract successful investors and teach them after that. And then after that, many followers are interested in us all. There is no person better than Warren Buffett in this field. We benefit from him. 6 basic investment habits that helped him build this huge fortune and make him one of the most successful investors in the world and one of the richest people in the world. The most important thing about these habits is that everyone can understand and comprehend them, and everyone can also implement them and apply them to everything, and not only to the field of fame of this famous investor, which is the world of stocks. Whoever implements these tips will certainly succeed and will achieve a reasonable amount of success during his entire work period and his life, and will have a very reasonable fortune. The first habit. The most important habit that this great man repeats over and over again to everyone in many of his speeches, talks, and interviews on the internet and offline. The first piece of advice that seems obvious to many, but it is not the obvious one that you will ever hear, is never lose money. With its simple words, it seems obvious, as we agreed, but it is not obvious because usually you and I and many people and most people are always looking for how we will make money, but we do not ask ourselves, before we put $1 into the investment, how I will lose this money. Because human behavior, if you see things that are profitable and rising significantly, we tend to collect all the positive news that encourages us to invest in this thing that we think we are motivated by and that we have positive feelings towards, and we forget to ask ourselves a very important question, which is, this business or this thing that I want to invest in, this property that I intend to invest in, how can it lose money? So, if I answer the question, how can I lose money? At least I will be hedging enough, and I will be aware and knowledgeable about any decision I make, and I will be one of the risks as required, meaning in all investments and in anything I put money in, or something I ask myself, how can I lose money? And if I answer these questions and am able to know them, then I will make a wiser decision. The second habit is a terrible thing. Don't forget the first rule. He emphasizes the importance of this rule and the importance of not losing money more than he emphasizes something else. He didn't tell you to calculate this or look at the debts, and he didn't talk about looking at your margin, but rather the company's. All he said was that you shouldn't lose your money, meaning put the positives next to the negatives and make your decision. The second piece of advice is a great piece of advice. When the sky rains gold on you, do not put your hand out and try to catch the gold that falls. Bring a large bowl or basket and catch the gold. In other words, opportunities do not come often and do not come consecutively, even in the world of stocks, and at one time in the history of all stocks. Opportunities, and this is their definition, are the opposite of what people think. They are the chances of stock prices falling, which are much less than the chances of stock prices rising. You are told that when such an opportunity comes, take out a large bowl or a large basket and collect the gold, and do not collect it with your hand. When the opportunity comes, take advantage of it correctly and with all your strength. The third habit that many of us forget is that buying a great company at a fair price is much better than buying a company with a good position at a very cheap price. Its clear and direct translation is that not everything that is cheap is an opportunity, even in the world of stocks, even in the world of real estate, even in the world of investments. A friend of yours might offer you to invest with him in a restaurant he owns or in a supermarket he owns, and he gives you a very suitable and very tempting price. You think and see that he sold the thing for a few cents. But if this business, or this property, or anything you put money into, is not good, and does not have any capabilities, or any power to profit clearly and correctly, that is a waste of money. Even if you buy at a very cheap price, that does not guarantee that this price will improve over time, and thus it will be as if you put this cheap money in space. Rather, investing in great companies, as they say and describe it, at a fair price and at a reasonable price, makes you or gives you the possibility of achieving long-term profits with a minimum of risks. That gives you a clearer opportunity to achieve profits over many years from now, and this is what we aim for. We do not invest in "it was not," but we invest in what will be, even if the price of something becomes very cheap. This should not tempt you without studying and without knowledge. We buy things or advise you to invest in wonderful things or things that have clear competitive advantages that enable them to continue for many years. The fourth habit of gold teaches us Warren Buffett and tells us that investing is not about knockout blows, and the stock market is not about knockout blows, and it is not about hits that you achieve, and it is not a place or arena in which you achieve knockout blows. The market is about companies, and these companies you want to become a part of, and there is no objection at all to investing if your situation does not allow it. But investing means if there are no clear investment opportunities in great companies, as we said in the previous point, and at a fair price. There is no need for you to put money, and it is normal to put money aside without investing, without working with this money for a period, until you find a good opportunity for long-term investment. It is wise and good not to do anything at all. Also, at the time when there are many stocks and many assets in your investment portfolio that you are convinced of, there is also no need to sell or buy, meaning your portfolio may be dormant for several months without you working on it. It is an intervention, and that is also wise and one of the characteristics of a great investor. The fifth and most important habit is to control your moods and emotions. An investor cannot be more emotional than necessary. He should not be emotional, but rather positive and not negative. Do not rejoice more than necessary if you achieve a large increase, or if the markets are greatly balanced, or the general situation is rising. The opposite should be with you. You do not have to be frustrated when the markets fall more than necessary, and thus withdraw part of them or all of your assets with a negative evaluation. It is always confirmed that market feelings are completely different from what is happening in the market itself. Market feelings are controlled by speculators, and those who control speculators are also their feelings. Speculators are people controlled by feelings of fear and feelings of greed. When they see a market going down, or there is a reason that leads to a decrease in prices in general, they push everything down. This should not bother you. In other words, Warren Buffett's portfolio decreased several times during his investment years by more than 50%, but this did not bother him and did not affect him at all. At the same time, he achieved huge profits compared to the stock market as a whole. However, it did not affect him in general. That means, do not buy just because the markets are overly excited and everyone is buying and all assets are rising, and whoever buys today sells tomorrow with a profit of 10% and 5% profits, without you doing the study or without applying the criteria that we talked about in this video. And the same thing about the decline. You sell your assets just because the market decided in general that prices will decline, or that there are general circumstances that have reduced all prices, whether it is good or not good, and thus, when you sell, you only realize the loss. One of the most important qualities of an investor is to separate his emotions and control them in a reasonable way, and for reason to prevail over feelings. The sixth habit that is important to do is saving. I know that you have heard a lot about saving not being good, but Warren Buffett believes in this economic principle. If you focus on Warren Buffett's life, you will see that he is very modest in his clothing, his small house that he bought in 1958, and his car that does not suit a billionaire, as his car is a 2014 Cadillac. We notice that even in his food and drink, he is very modest, as he eats breakfast every day from McDonald's, a low-cost restaurant. I have more strange information about Warren Buffett, that he will donate all of his money, which amounts to $118 billion, to charities, and will deprive all of his children of this wealth.